A reading from the letter of Paul to the Romans. Brothers and sisters, those who are in the flesh cannot please God. But you are not in the flesh. On the contrary, you are in the Spirit, if only the Spirit of God dwells in you. Whoever does not have the Spirit of Christ does not belong to him. But if Christ is in you, although the body is dead because of sin, the Spirit is alive because of righteousness. If the Spirit of the one who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, the one who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies also, through his Spirit dwelling in you. The word of the Lord.
Our second reading for this Sunday is taken from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. We have been reflecting on getting to know God as the God of life. And in the first reading from the prophet Ezekiel, we see how God reveals God's self to an unfaithful people in exile by restoring life to them. First, by taking them out of the graves of their shame and sin. Second, by giving them the Holy Spirit, by which they would live a new life. And third, by restoring them to their land, the land that God had given to them. A holistic way of restoring life to an unfaithful people. The God of mercy and compassion is a God who restores life. In the second reading, the picture is completed in the image of the resurrection from the dead. God is revealed as the God of life in the resurrection from the dead of Jesus Christ. Only God can raise the dead back to life, because God is the author of life, the sustainer of life, and the restorer of life. This is part of our confession of faith. Life through and through comes from God, and only God can restore life. This is what we see in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. St. Paul affirms that Jesus was raised back to life by the Father through the Holy Spirit. It is by the Spirit of God that the Father restored life to Jesus, and not just terrestrial or earthly life, but fullness of life in God. Now, we are told that what happened to Jesus will also happen to our mortal bodies. When our mortal bodies experience death, we have the hope of resurrection, not because of our own powers, not because of our talents or our merits. No. Only God can restore our mortal bodies back to life, to divine life, as it were, a sharing in divine life, because of the Holy Spirit, the same Spirit promised by Ezekiel, to the people Israel. So there is a consistency. God is the God of life by giving us the Spirit. But St. Paul, aside from affirming this faith in God, who gives the Spirit as the principle of our resurrection from the dead, imposes on us also a responsibility. Even now here, let us not wait for death and the prospect of resurrection. Even now, we should live by the Holy Spirit. We should die to sin now. We should experience death now. But what type of death? Death to sin. The sinful person must die. And we should live not anymore by sin. We should not be dictated by sin. Our thoughts, our energies, our choices, our lives should not be dictated by the flesh, by sin. Instead, it is the Holy Spirit given to us already by the risen Lord that should inhabit us and should be the guiding principle of our lives. It is by living in the Spirit, living the resurrection now, as it were, living the new life in the Spirit now, not later, but now. This will make people realize that we belong to Christ. This is a beautiful message. How will people know God? Through the life that He gives. And we will be, for the world, the manifestation of the resurrection of Christ. If we live by the Spirit, people will know, this one is a disciple of Christ. This one is a friend of Christ. This one already lives the resurrected life that Jesus has won for all of us. So, let the world know who God is by our lives. Lives led in the Holy Spirit, the same Spirit that brought Jesus to the resurrection.